الإنسان ضر دعا ربه منيبا إليه ثم إذا خوله نعمة منه نسي ما كان يدعو إليه من قبل وجعل لله ضل عن سبيله قل تمتع بكفرك قليلا إنك من أصحاب النار. The verse number 8 from Surah Az-Zumar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said here about a very common nature of human being, ingratitude of human being, ungratefulness of human being. Whenever human beings are attacked by any harm, any sort of trouble, distress, or anything touches a human being, he calls upon Allah. Remorsefully, he repents to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he calls for help to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when Allah removes that trouble or that distress, he goes away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah Rabbul Alameen focused on this issue. Human beings are very hopeful in the time of distress, hopeful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they don't get any sort of help, or they cannot expect any sort of help from anyone else. All the doors are closed for them. In that situation, in that time, he calls Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help. But when Allah Rabbul Alameen opens the door for him, then he doesn't call to Allah. Then he calls other people, other deities, other things that he worships rather than Allah. وَإِذَا مَسَّ الْإِنسَانَ ضُرٌّ دَعَا رَبَّهُ. And when massa means touch, مَسَّ الْإِنسَانَ ضُرٌّ, and when any sort of distress or trouble or harm touches human being, دَعَا رَبَّهُ, he calls upon his Lord, means Allah. Muniban, remorsefully, with repentance, sincerely, muniban ilayhi. Summa iza khawwalahu. And then when Allah removes that distress, removes that disaster or that trouble, summa khawwalahu ni'mat. Then when Allah engulfs him, when Allah includes his ni'mah on him, bestows his ni'mah on him, nasiya ma kana yad'u ilayhi min qabl. Then he forgets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he forgets that someday he used to call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because happy days came to him and he forgets his sad days. He forgets his days of adversities. وَجَعَلَ لِلَّهِ أَنْدَادًا لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِهِ. And then he takes rivals of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Andadan, rivals. He makes other things equals to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Andadan liyudilla an sabili, so that he can be get astray from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he can astray others as well. قُلْ تَمَتَّعْ بِكُفْرِكَ قَلِيلًا. Then Allah said, tamatta, enjoy this life for a little, for a while. Innaka min ashabin nas, you're going to hell. You are the companions of hell. So the punishment of ingratitude is hell. The punishment of ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is hell, is Jahannam, nar. So listeners, listen, there are two things, two opposite emotions that every human being belongs to. These two emotions are hope and fear. And continuously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about taqwa. Taqwa means the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to balance these two things, hope and fear. When we are in the time of happiness, peace, good health, prosperity, in that time we should fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that any time, any day, Allah can take this happiness away from me. And whenever we are in the time of sadness, in the time of adversity, trouble, problems, in that time, in that situation, we should remember Allah. We should be hopeful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these two emotions, hope and fear, are like two wings of a bird. Okay, we should balance. We should make balance these two things, hope and fear. So our hope and our dependence only on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We depend on Allah and we hope to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time. May Allah protect us from the punishment of the hell, and may Allah grant us Jannah. Assalamu alaikum.